everybody. Today I'd like to talk about Chainsaw Man and its adaptation from manga to anime. This is going to be a controversial opinion. I personally don't like how they did the adaptation. I know that's going to be a controversial take, but the reason why I don't like it is because it doesn't follow the same pace. So it might as well be a completely different story from the original manga. And what I mean by this is, when you're reading the manga, it goes super fast. I believe there's only about 100 chapters in the first part of Chainsaw Man. And what this means is that you can pretty much get through this entire story within 1 or 2 sittings reading through it. Whereas with the anime, it's really slow and not in a way I like. The issue is that they tend to add a lot of filler into the anime. There might be like a few things that add a little bit more to the characters, but it's really not doing that great of a service to what should be a very fast-paced, very snappy, quick viewing experience, and I don't like it. Now, the excuse on places like Twitter or whoever's talking about the anime as a whole, they usually go with the idea that it's cinematic, which, although the story does sometimes reference movies or sometimes references other things, it's really not that much based on other things. The thing about Fujimoto is that his works are always like a fast-paced, like minute-to-minute, wild, insane ride. That's the Fujimoto experience, with the occasional movie reference or manga reference thrown in there, but generally he does his own thing. He likes to twist stories in a way that is unique and interesting. He likes to play on tropes and then subvert them, or sometimes keep it with them, and it creates a very hectic, fast-paced, and modern story that it can be experienced within a single sit-through. Whereas with this anime, it's so slow, and it's really not in the same vein as a regular Fujimoto work should be. Also, what the hell does cinematic mean? The thing about movies is that they're short, compared to books, compared to manga, compared to comics, compared to pretty much any other medium. Movies are supposed to be short. And I'm not even going to say that either short or long is bad. Something needs to be long in order to establish something, then that's fine. If something needs to be short in order to quickly get through this part, in order to get to the next thing, or to establish action, or to establish something that needs to be short, then that's fine too. I'm not even going to go into that argument because it's fucking stupid. But I do not get it. This whole cinematic thing is fucking stupid, because what the fuck does cinematic mean? I think what they're getting at is that it takes longer, and like a movie does, it will establish things. Like, there'll be a lot of establishing shots. For example, in that scene where Aki is cooking, instead of just showing him cooking, it goes a little bit more into him doing laundry and stuff like that. But that doesn't really do anything for the story. It only establishes a little bit more that he really cooks and he really cleans. And what the fuck does that do for the plot? Like, nothing. You could have either added these scenes in a little later, or just cut them out entirely, and it would still be the same story. So yeah, I don't get this whole cinematic thing. It's stupid. That point is stupid, and making a thing longer just because you want to establish a little bit more can be fine, but you also have to keep with the tone of the original story, which is extremely fast paced. And when you make it longer just to make it longer, or just a little bit more establishing or character building rather than actually keeping with the pace that the author intended, then you're really fucking things up. For an example of something long that would make something better is to maybe establish like the location, so you know exactly where things are. For example, like, oh, this thing is here, like this gun or this piece of wood, or maybe this place is going to be used for later, so you want to establish it so it takes a little longer to do. That's fine. But when it's just like, oh, I'm cleaning and now I'm cooking. I mean, I get it. What you're doing is really showing that this character is caring for these kids, in Aki's case, for example. But you already are shown that just by what happens in the first place. Like, he's already cooking, he's already cleaning, and then there's like a scene of him smoking, which, who the fuck cares? Pick it up, please. That's one of the major appeals of reading the manga, is that you can go through it within a single sit through. And just to throw that out in order to establish something a little bit more is pointless. The only time when this would work is if this was Fire Punch instead of Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man only has about 1 or 2 scenes where they go to the movies, and it's not even that big of a deal. It's not that much incorporated into the overall theme and mode and tone and everything else about the whole series in general. This would work in Fire Punch, because in Fire Punch, one of the main characters is a director. She takes movies of things and wants to create the ultimate movie. Like, that's when making something more cinematic would work great, because it fits with the theme and it would overall improve the show by putting in all these references, whereas Chainsaw Man is not about movies. Chainsaw Man is about a loss of innocence and about how fucked up the world can be and just trying to survive despite not knowing very much and not being able to do that much. That's what Chainsaw Man's about, and fucked up shit happens all the time and you just kind of have to deal with it. That's what the show is about, but it's not about fucking movies, so just annoying. This is an annoying point. Now, there are some things that are added with the show that obviously improve the experience. For example, with a written medium, you can't have music in it. You can't have audio for the characters in it. And with a visual medium like animation, yeah, you can add a bit more life to the whole thing by making these characters move on screen. So there is certainly that addition that helps with the experience. But the issue is his pacing. And when you take that away from a story, you're really fucking things up. I don't think people realize how important pacing is to a story. It changes a story from like a fast action story to like a slow character drama. And it's complicated because there are certain points in Chainsaw Man where things slow down a little bit and they explore the characters, but those are relatively few and far between, which sets them apart from the action scenes and from the plot progression scenes. It's done purposely, whereas with this anime, it feels like everything's slowed down, and with that being the case, you kind of change how things work. You're not keeping with the spirit of the work when you do it like this, and I just can't say I like it.